Let's talk about something no one has ever told you. Not because you don't know it deep down, but because no one dares to say it out loud. Because if they did, one of the greatest lies on which we've built our lives would crumble. And maybe, just maybe, you'd stop living the way you do.
But before we go any further, I need you to pay attention. Because what you're about to hear might hurt. It might shake you. It might make you look in the mirror and not recognize yourself. But if you can endure it, if you don't look away, then maybe you'll begin to understand what you've been ignoring for years. Have you ever felt like you're chasing something that never arrives? A connection, a look, a promise that vanishes just as it seems within reach? Have you felt like you give more than you receive? That you break yourself to make someone else fit? That you empty yourself believing that's the way to be loved more? You're not alone. But what you're experiencing isn't love. It's something else, something much darker, more primal, more manipulative. Love, as it's been sold to you, doesn't exist, at least not the way you imagine it. That idea of a soulmate, of a woman who will come to save you, understand you, complete you. It's a trap, a perfect construction, a clockwork mechanism designed not to give you peace, but to keep you moving, hungry, confused. And do you know who designed it? Not Hollywood, not the poets, something much older, wilder. Nature, your biology, your instinct. The one you don't control, but that controls you. Schopenhauer saw it before anyone else. He didn't write to make people fall in love. He wrote to awaken, to rip off the blindfold, to tell you that romantic love is a carefully crafted illusion, not meant to make you happy, but to keep you tied to a woman, to an idea, to an impossible promise. And you, without knowing it, have lived believing that pain is a proof of love, that sacrifice is noble, that suffering for someone makes you more of a man. Lies. All of it is part of the deception. She doesn't love you the way you think, not the way you want, because her instinct doesn't seek souls, it seeks stability, security, strength, genes. She's not looking at you wondering if you'll make her happy. She's looking at you wondering if she'll survive with you, if you'll give her resources, if you'll give her strong children. And you, in the meantime, dream of poetry, of eternal glances, of promises in the rain, while she calculates. Not out of malice, not out of coldness, out of nature. You project, you idealize. You see goddesses where there are only humans. And in that projection, you lose yourself. You crawl, you disfigure, and she, without knowing why, loses respect. Because respect is born of power, not desire. And you, by putting her on a pedestal, have given yours away. You've burned it as an offering, hoping to be loved in return. But love doesn't respond to sacrifice. It responds to strength, to presence, to detachment. And you know what the most perverse part is? You know it. Deep down, you know it. Every time you feel like you're trying too hard, every time you catch yourself justifying her disregard, every time you feel less like yourself and more like a shadow orbiting her. In each of those moments, a voice in your head screams. But you ignore it because you prefer the comfortable lie over the brutal truth, because no one taught you how to live without the illusion of romantic love. No one told you that you can be whole without a woman by your side, that you can be free, powerful, without needing to fit the mold of the eternal lover. This video isn't a crusade against women. It's a manifesto against blindness, against the infantilization of love, against the idea that you must suffer to be worthy. It's an invitation to stare into the abyss without blinking. To understand that as long as you keep believing in fairy tales, you'll continue to be a secondary character in your own life. It's time to wake up, to stop begging for what you should be giving yourself. Because no one is going to save you, no one is going to complete you. That task is yours alone. And the sooner you understand it, the sooner you'll stop falling into the same traps. So take a deep breath, because what's coming next isn't pleasant, it's raw, it's brutal, but if you have the courage to stay, you may never look at a woman the same way again. Still here? Good. That already says a lot about you. Most would have left by now. Not everyone is ready to hear what you're about to understand. Because now we're going deeper, more uncomfortable. We're going to talk about the psychological price you pay when you idealize a woman. The invisible cost. That emotional debt you carry unknowingly every time you think you need someone to feel whole. Because the worst part of all this isn't that you love an illusion. It's that you erase yourself for it. That you stop being you. That you lose your center. And when a man loses his center, he becomes anything but a man. He becomes a satellite orbiting around what he desires but never attains. He becomes an emotional beggar. And there's nothing sadder, more pathetic, more destructive than that. You know what happens when you become obsessed with a woman loving you the way you expect? You start to reshape yourself, to smooth your edges, to silence your voice, to betray yourself little by little. And you do it believing it'll make her love you more. But all it creates is repulsion, because nothing drives someone away more than someone willing to completely change to fit in. Authenticity is magnetic. Constant sacrifice, on the other hand, is repulsive. And what they don't tell you, what no one says, is that the more you adapt to her needs, the less she adapts to yours. Because in that imbalance lies the power, and you give it away with every concession, with every excuse, with every unanswered message you justify, with every silence you swallow, with every time you tell yourself, well, she's just different. She's not different. You're the one refusing to see reality. Now listen to this. There is nothing more manipulable than a man afraid of losing a woman's affection, because that fear turns him into a slave. And no chains are needed for that, just empty promises, small gestures of approval, measured doses of affection, just enough to keep you there, clinging, confused, waiting, always waiting. And while you wait, she lives. She decides, she chooses, she changes, and you, without realizing it, have stopped living your own life. Schopenhauer understood this better than anyone. The will to live is the true driving force of the human being. But that will, when projected blindly onto a woman, turns into a will to suffer. Because instead of expanding, you shrink. Instead of advancing, you stall. Instead of mastering your environment, you become part of hers. You fade away. And this is what no one explains to you. When you lose yourself for a woman, you don't just lose the relationship. You lose your life force, your focus, your masculinity. And I don't mean that caricature of masculinity made of muscles and bravado. I mean the essence, that inner fire that drives you to build, to conquer, to transform. That fire you let burn out because of a romantic idealization. Do you know when that fire returns? When you detach from blind desire. When you stop looking for in her what only you can give yourself. Because here comes a truth more painful than any breakup. No one will fill you inside if you don't know how to be alone. And if you don't know how to be alone, you'll always be willing to tolerate the intolerable, to change your path, to trade your peace for crumbs of attention. And I want you to remember this. The problem isn't her. The problem is that you made her into something she's not, into something she can't be, a solution to your emptiness. And that's unfair to both of you, because she's not going to save you, and you shouldn't need anyone to do so. The real journey begins when you understand this, when you stop seeking approval in others' eyes, when you begin to see yourself as whole. Incomplete, yes. Full of shadows, yes. but authentic. Firm, whole. Now tell me, how many times have you changed the way you speak for fear of offending her? How many times have you hidden your opinion to keep her interest? How many times have you kept quiet about what you feel, hoping she'll intuit it, discover it, value it? That's not love. That's emotional submission. That's living according to someone else's desire. And someone who lives like that is never happy. He just adapts. He just survives. You know what a free man does? He speaks, he expresses, he stands firm. He doesn't beg, he doesn't plead, he doesn't wait. And if the woman in front of him doesn't accept it, doesn't understand, doesn't want it, he walks away without resentment, without guilt, because his value doesn't depend on what she sees in him. His value lies in his ability to be himself, whole, integral, unbreakable. The next time you feel like you're trying too hard, stop. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid of losing her? If the answer is the latter, run, not for her, for you. Because no love should be born out of fear, because no relationship built on need can bring you peace. Only anxiety, only dependence, only emptiness. And if you've made it this far, listen closely. You're not broken, you're not lost. You're waking up. You're seeing what others don't even dare to look at. You're breaking the narrative you were taught as a child, the one about romantic love, about eternal sacrifice, about the other half. You don't need to be part of that. You can step out of it. You can be free. And when you are, when you take back your power, when you stop projecting your voids onto others, then, and only then, will you know what real love is. A love without illusions, a love without chains, a love without fear. The most important love of all, the one that's born when, finally, you choose yourself. And if you're still here, if you've made it to this point, it's because something inside you has already changed. I don't care if you notice it or not. I don't care if right now you agree with me or feel a mix of rage and liberation. What matters is that you've listened, that you've felt something break inside, a structure, an ideal, a lie. You hear it, don't you? That silence inside you, that space you used to fill with illusions and now it's empty. But don't worry, that emptiness isn't the end. It's the beginning. Because everything that's truly worthwhile begins when you dare to destroy what you thought you were. So now tell me, are you going to keep looking for love in places where there are only distorted reflections? Are you going to keep giving yourself to someone who doesn't even know what they're holding in their hands? Are you going to keep writing poetry for someone who only knows how to read emotional invoices? Or are you, once and for all, going to stop, to look, to see the entire structure that was built around you since you were a boy and say, no, I don't play this game anymore. Because here's the truth that hurts more than any rejection. It wasn't love you lacked. You lacked seeing yourself. You lacked knowing who you were before wanting to be seen. You begged for affection because they told you that's what love was. You believed that the right thing is to wait, that being mature means giving in, that being brave means enduring. But they lied to you. The right thing is to move forward. Being mature means respecting yourself. Being brave, truly brave, means saying goodbye when you're losing yourself by staying. And I know it hurts. Because letting go of an illusion always hurts more than losing a reality. But listen to me closely. Every time you break an idealization, you become more real, stronger, more present. And when you are present, no one can use you. No one can manipulate you. No one can turn you into their project because you are already your own masterpiece. The world is full of men who have built their entire lives around a woman who doesn't even know what she wants. Broken men, empty, disoriented, who once were fire and today are ashes. You don't have to be one of them. You can get your fire back. But first you have to drop the chain. That chain you've worn around your neck since you believed she was the answer to everything. Look at yourself in the mirror tonight and ask yourself, who would I be if I stopped waiting to be loved like in the movies? Who would I be if I stopped living to please, to be liked, to be chosen? And if I choose myself, what happens? Who leaves? Who stays? You'll find out, and when you do, it'll be brutal. Not because it'll hurt, but because you'll feel something you had forgotten. Freedom. So do it. Destroy it all if you have to. Because there's no evolution without demolition, no clarity without conflict, and no true love if it doesn't come after a war within yourself. If this video hit you, if something inside you stirred, if you felt you've been asleep for too long, I want you to write in the comments, "The illusion died. Now I exist." Not because it's a pretty phrase, but because it's the symbol of a transformation. And whoever writes it declares that they've crossed a line, and there's no going back. Subscribe if you want to keep destroying lies, if you want to keep hearing truths that no one says, but everyone feels. This channel isn't made to please. It's made to wake you up, to blow your mind, so that one day you look back and don't recognize the guy you were before you got here. And now I say goodbye. But not like everyone else does. Not with a "see you in the next video." Number, I say goodbye with a question that won't let you sleep tonight. What if everything you believed about love was just a strategy of nature to distract you from yourself? Think about it. Breathe and burn. Because now your real life begins.